Chapter 29, Berlin. The train crossed the border into Germany sometime during the night. By noon, September 23, 1944, we were entering Berlin. Some parts of the huge, sprawling city seemed untouched. Others had been pulverized by aerial bombardment, leaving acres of broken rock and cement. Passing through these sections, the train slowed to a crawl, and once we had to stop as the rails were cleared of debris and repaired. I gazed out the window. A convoy of trucks passed by. Aboard them I saw what at first I took to be midget soldiers, but which I soon realized were children, boys with smooth, determined faces being sent off to fight for what remained of Berlin. They looked to be only 9 or 10 years old. I was 16, an old man by comparison. A woman hurried toward the train, a little girl wearing a green ballet costume in her arms. The child appeared to be dead. We reached the Berlin depot untouched. There, instead of unloading the wounded, we took on yet more patients, mostly German civilians. They took the places of soldiers still able to fight. These men, including the guards from the roof of the train, were formed into ranks. An officer informed them that they would be sent to strategic points in and around Berlin, such as supply dumps, bridges, and airports. At these places they would join the Volkssturm, the civilian militia, which consisted of women, children as young as 7, and elderly men, to make a last stand against the encroaching Russians, British, and Americans. With blank expressions they shuffled off like men condemned to death, which, in reality, was the case for most. The train lurched. Tamara and the doctor and I began tending to the patients, especially the new arrivals. Our train was shunted to another line, and we were underway again, now headed south and out of the city. Soon we were clacking smoothly along through open countryside. From the open door of the car we saw farms, harvested fields, and country roads down which few refugees were walking. Our destination turned out to be a small village, a neat little hamlet tucked away in a wooded area. There, an aid station and a curious sort of hospital had been set up. Civilians and others helped us unload the wounded and get them situated in houses. Every house in the hamlet, it appeared, had been turned into either a ward or operating room. As we worked whenever we had the chance, Tamara and I discussed what our next move should be. We'd leave the place, we'd escape it, and head west, we decided. And doing so looked easy. There were no guards. There was only one officer who was directing the operation, and a few wounded soldiers, earlier arrivals now recuperating in the place. We waited until most of the wounded from the train had been unloaded. Then, between us, Tamara and I lifted up a young woman onto a stretcher, her face and head wrapped in bloody bandaging. The woman had kept begging us to tell her what happened to her children. After laying her down on a sofa, Tamara patted the woman's hand. I told her that we would go and try to find out about her children. "Thank you," she mumbled through her bandaging. A nurse gave her a shot, and soon she was asleep. The two of us took the stretcher from the house. We leaned the thing against a wall, walked casually into the woods, then ran.